Good morning, my YouTube friends. My name is Tom, and I come to you from the great state of Maine. I'm asking for information today. I'm asking for information. That's why I said, hello, my YouTube friends. I've already made bits and pieces of this video for the Patreon channel. I'm reaching out to them as well. Cabin's all roofed. I'm in for a turnaround. More tools, more equipment, more materials. Cabin's all roof. We've got you'll see it, well, next Sunday's video coming out is everything we did last week. But meantime, I'm going to put this out. I'm not going to tell too much there in what we did this week, but it was a full week, and I ended up with a great video. I hope you guys enjoy it. The ground is too wet for me to move on to the jacking yet, so that might have to come September area, maybe October. We'll see. Right now, the two buildings that I want to, we've had rain after rain after rain. Even while we're there, we had it rained up there this past week all day and most of the night, which made it out in the woods where one of my buildings is, the fire building. That thing has got water all the way around it. My shop is right beside my well. Years like this, the water runs right out the top of the well. So the shop has got lots of water around it on one side of it. So that's taken, the jacking would kind of be wasted and kind of be too much work. So we're going to wait until the ground dries out. But next, I'm moving on now is to the staining. I need to stain the shop. I need to stain the guest cabin, my daughter's cabin. And I also need to stain the fire building out back. And then when we're all said and done, I'm going to run into Beaver Creek and stain Beaver Creek this year. So that with at least 2 coats of stain on all them buildings. So this right here is a power painter. It's a spray painter, industrial one. I don't know absolutely anything about it. That's what I'm here asking questions for. This is a Nova 390. It's a Nova 390. It hooks into a 5-gallon can of paint. I've got all kinds of bits with it. This was my son-in-law's. My first son-in-law, he passed away from brain cancer when Caleb was 3 years old. And if you watch my grandsons, Joshua was 9 weeks old. This is one of the tools. He was a cabinet builder. And this is one of the tools that was in his shop that I salvaged and saved for myself with the intentions of what we're talking about right now. That was 10 years ago. So it's been in my shop for 10 years. I believe I've got most of the pieces. There's some stuff in here. We've done a little bit of research. I'm sure that's a filter. I'm not exactly sure where all this stuff goes. I'm going to Google this machine myself. I just haven't done it yet. Just getting started, and if you guys have any pointers or information about this kind of work, leave it in the comments. Because leave it in the comments or send me an email. My email address is right on the home page, so that's easy enough. But that's next on the list. I'm looking forward to getting them buildings all stained up. I don't believe I'm going to stain the log cabin. I am very undecided on that. I really like the look of the cedar logs just the way it is, so not sure about that. The other buildings are all going to get forest brown with a hunter green trim. And the trim will come later on. All I'm worried about right now is getting 2 to 3 coats of stain on them buildings, just to clean them up a little bit and protect them. So again, if you know anything at all about this stuff, let me know. That's kind of what today's video is about. And then once all this work is behind me, I can get back to doing some serious fishing and some serious hunting, because this right here I'm not liking too much, having to work. So you guys have a cup of coffee. But it is nice to get the work done around the cabin. Really nice to finally be getting caught up there on some projects that just plain needed to be done. So I've got to go down back today. I planted some horseradish that Jeff from Pennsylvania brought up to me. I need to go down and check on that and see how it's growing. The rhubarb around here has taken off like wildfire. Got some of that stuff to check on today as well. But meantime, I don't know, maybe we throw a little story in here or something. This morning's video is about the Allagash Wilderness Waterway. I think I will finish up with a little. I watched the video just like you guys in the morning, and you know, this we took 10 days to do it. Most people canoe that thing out in about 5, but we pokey slow way down through. We fished our way down through. We took extra days at sites and stuff like that. Extra days on Eagle Lake. But one of the funny stories that came about from the, that's a short one, that came about from the Allagash Wilderness Waterway was these 2 kids. And I got pictures of them hanging up in my fish house because the story that they have to tell today. I won't remember their ages. I think one of them was 16, maybe 15, and they were well under 18. They were probably, I would say, 15 and 17. Like I said, I forget the ages, but what's funny is they had no equipment, they had no food. I literally had no equipment for canoeing the Allagash Wilderness Waterway. They lived in New Hampshire, and they were tying the canoe on the top of the car and throwing a tent in. Throwing the basics they did have. Threw a tent in the car and a paddle and a canoe, and they were tying it off. And one of the kids' mothers come out and said, "What are you guys doing?" And the boy said, "Well, we're headed to Maine. We're going to canoe the Allagash Wilderness Waterway." Well, what do you think the mother said? She said, "No way in H-E-double-L are you going to be doing that." So she went back in the house, and while she was in the house, they jumped in the car and left. And we ran into them 3 days down the Allagash Wilderness Waterway. And they had one sleeping bag between the 2 of them. They had a small pup tent. They had a canoe. And they had 2 paddles, life jackets. A very basic cook set for cooking. I'm not even sure if they had a stove. They didn't know how to cook because the story just gets funnier and funnier. Anyways, they pulled in, they camped beside us, so they told us this story, and we just laughing because we were laughing at how much trouble they were going to be in when they got home and that mother got their hands around them. What they brought for food was 10 packages of oodles of noodles. 10 packages. That's what they had for food. They had just enough gas money to get back home. Why is that important in this story? Because there's a spot on the Allagash Wilderness Waterway, it's at Churchill Dam, where you can portage over the dam and then run the rapids. Or there's a shuttle service there that the park rangers, whatever you want to call them, that run. And for $10, they'll load your equipment into a pickup truck and they'll drive you down the couple of miles and put you back in the river without having to run the rapids. So what's funny is they got to that Churchill Dam and told the ranger if he took their $10 that they wouldn't have gas money to get home. So he didn't take their $10. He brought them around for free. And then we got there. We ran the rapids. We didn't walk around anything on the St. John. I mean, on St. John or the Allagash, other than getting over the dams. That's the only portaging that we did. But anyways, we ran the rapids and we talked to the warden, and he was laughing. He said it's the first time in all the years I've been here that we had panhandlers coming down the Allagash Wilderness Waterway. He said, think about it. He said, where did they camp every night? He said, right next to you guys, didn't they? Or someone else? Yeah. He said, did you feed them? I said, oh, of course we fed them. He said they've been eating all the way down the river, just out of somebody else's frying pan. Oh, we fed them heavy. We gave them food. We had all kinds of food. And we gave them some popcorn. That's another part of this funny story. We gave them we gave them some popcorn. You know, we brought popcorn along and put in a pan, put a lid on it, put some oil down in there. Next thing you know, you got yourself a nice campfire snack. So we gave them some popcorn. And the next morning they come over and they're kind of laughing, and they said, you didn't, because we had to tell them how to make popcorn. They had no idea how to make popcorn. I'm telling you, these are kids. They didn't know how to cook. But anyways, he said, you didn't tell us that we needed to put a cover on the popcorn pan. That's the funny part of that story. And the rangers on the Allagash Wilderness Waterway is they have checkpoints every 25 miles. And you have to check in at that point. If you don't, they come find you, make sure you're safe. And these kids, they said, we always keep an eye on the canoes that are very light on gear. So they kept a real close eye on them boys from one end to the other. And he said the other thing that was easy to find them boys was Tootsie Roll wrappers. He said they've been dropping Tootsie Roll wrappers the whole length of this river. So they've been very hard to follow how far down they are. We lost them. We left Eagle Lake. Well, see, they left Eagle Lake ahead of us. And then we lost them. We got on the river, and we were 3 days down the river, you know, just puttering along. We're 3 days down the river, and we haven't seen these kids in 3 days. Well, finally, on the third day, they show up. And we said, where the heck have you guys been? By this time, you should be 3 days ahead of us. They said they spent 3 days canoeing around Eagle Lake because they couldn't find the outlet. He said they finally found the outlet, and then, like I said, but they left way ahead of us. So we just figured they were paddling right along, and because like we dogged it down through there, fishing and finding brook, stopping fish. But nope, they weren't ahead of us. They just hadn't found the exit on Eagle Lake. Oh my God, that's what I said. Well, I got one story after another that comes to that river trip. Because we ran into people the whole length of the river. You know, canoeists and outdoor people. It was just a fun trip. But anyways. Well, I'm going to have coffee. Today's Father's Day. All of you guys out there with Father's Day, happy Father's Day. I'm going to plug this into 5 gallons of water. Turn her on and see what happens. Well, it's the end of the video. You guys might as well find out about this the same way I did. We started this video out with looking at that paint sprayer left over from my son-in-law after he passed away. Well, you remember I said he was dying from brain cancer. Well, he was dying from brain cancer. He ran his chainsaw with straight gasoline. So burned that up, so that was no good. So now I just fired up this paint sprayer that's been taking up space in my shop for 10 years. The last time he used it, he didn't clean it. 50 feet of air, the air hose the paint flows through is solid with polyurethane for cabinets. The gun has solid polyurethane from cabinets. I took apart the motor, took apart everything. Maybe we can go with a different hose. I'm not too concerned with the gun. I was able to get air to flow through that. That wasn't quite solid. So I believe a little bit of soaking and some paint thinner, I probably could have got that clean over time. But the hose, I cut the hose in half and it was solid, chock block full. I cut off another 2-3 feet, same thing. Kept going. Hey, I can go with 10 feet. Them buildings aren't that tall. I can just have things chase me around. That'd be a pain in the butt, but it can be done. So, I'll be right back. I'm going to go get my old one. Must be time for coffee. This is a car sprayer. I can hook up to my pancake compressor. It's a pain in the butt. It is slow going. The building you see behind me, I stained that out. 2 coats of stain with it. Doesn't take long to go through that canister right there. So, I guess I'm going to use this. I know this works. I use it all the time. I do clean it when I'm done with it. I've done many barns with that. Big barns, big horse barns. It's just a little bit time consuming, that's all. But it didn't. I bought that 40 years ago for $40. So I'm not going to buy a big paint outfit to go spray a couple buildings. And I don't want to do it with a 4-inch brush. I'm beyond those days. This rough sawn hemlock takes a lot of stain. Once it's dried out, it'll suck it up like it's nothing. That first coat goes right on. Sucks it right up just about as fast as you put it on. So, anyways, the other one's junk. Now I'm going to box that up, throw it in the junk trailer for Wednesday when I head to the dump. And away it will go. Well, maybe I'll put it out by the road. It seems that the motor area is good. Maybe someone can make some use of it, but we'll set it out there. I got a pallet that sits out by the road, free for the taking. So I'll put that out there and see what happens. So anyways, that plan has just missiled itself right into the ground. On to plan B. Every good outdoorsman always has a plan B. Well, here's plan B. And a whole lot easier to drag into Beaver Creek. That might be kind of interesting. So you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.